Welcome back to Silverstone for the opening race of the 2012 Radical European Masters, the second round of the Radical UK Cup running alongside it. And in the lead of the race is Manhalos, and spinning down the order is James Abbott, making the step up to the SR8 this year. Just a quick rotation, he should find a gear and get back into the action fairly easily. Yep, back into the action goes James, although he's lost about 10 or so places, and he's unfortunately lost it as well at Chapel Curve, so he's losing all the momentum down the Hanger Straight, and James Abbott therefore slipping back down the order. He's already trying to re-engage in battle, which is the James we've come to enjoy watching in the Radical UK Cup, last year's Radical Clubman's Cup champion as well. He's now got a lot of work to do to recover up through the order before he hands over to Sean Balfe, because of course the Radical European Masters and Radical UK Cup are pit stop races, so this 40-minute race the drivers will have to peel into the pit lane very shortly when the pit window opens, and either make the driver change or serve their minimum mandatory pit stop time. Plenty of action throughout the pack. Closely competitive group of cars, as Greg Hart though just trying to pull away. He's got Jaap Bartels on his tail in the number 4 car, the Dutch driver, making the trip over the channel this weekend to compete here at Silverstone. In fact, good number of foreign competitors here this weekend, including Nicholas Poklevitz there in the number 7 car, pressurising James Abbott. And Poklevitz had limited running during testing due to various setup changes the team needed to make, but he's going well in the race as Alos out front stretching his legs and is pulling well clear at the head of the field. This is looking like a very fine drive indeed from Manhalos, and I wondered where Mark Smithson got to. That's the answer. He's had a moment over at Chapel Curve, so Smithson slipping down the order as Terence Woodward and Tony Wells engage in battle. It's Woodward, the second of those cars, the black and blue car, just behind the white and blue car of Tony Wells. Terence Woodward, vastly experienced and former champion racer in the Radical UK Cup. Tony Wells, this is his second season only of motor racing. He stepped up to the Radical SR8 this year and has put in already some supremely impressive performances. A very quick driver is Tony, and certainly one to watch for the future. And then lurking on the tail of the pair of them is the recovering Mark Smithson. So this is going to be a battle worth watching. 3 very quick drivers, and certainly in the case of Mark Smithson, a driver with a point to prove as he looks to elevate himself back up through the field. And the battle's continuing throughout the field. That's Bassam Cromfley, who is sharing with the former Formula 2 racer Benjamin Bailly this weekend. As the pit window is open, the drivers getting all ready to go, and the first man in is Terence Woodward. That is to hand over to Ross Kaiser. Kaiser wasn't sure if he's going to be racing this weekend, but he has decided to compete and will be taking over the 88 car for the second half of the race. The team's just making some adjustments to tyre pressure. Terence Woodward also debriefing Ross Kaiser. Ross goes back out into the action. The pit lane very busy. The drivers having to be careful to hit the pit lane speed limit. Now this is a sight we all wanted to see. Dean Stoneman's return to motor racing, the 2010 FIA Formula 2 champion. He missed all of last season through very serious illness, and it's wonderful he's been given the opportunity to return to racing this weekend, and great to see him out on track and immediately on the pace. Driver changes continuing along the length of the pit lane. One driver out, the other in. The team's operating very slickly with the pit stops, as out goes the Cossimans driver, 77 car, also rejoining the action as well. One of the entries over this weekend from Italy. Manhalos, after the pit window though, has still emerged at the head of the field, and if anything with a bigger margin than he had before, because of the pit lane handicap system. So essentially the drivers are all graded, and then their pit stop varies according to the grading. Manhalos usually does pretty well out of that, as Alex Mortimer, one of the grade A graded drivers, number 21 car, less so. He has a longer pit stop, and that is why he has to really charge up through the traffic. The former British GT racer also competes across European GT cars. He and Chris Hyman, a very potent combination, and Alex with a little bit of work to do to charge up through the order, currently squabbling for 10th position, picking his way through the traffic. Here is the leader of the SR3 class, Tom Stuber Olsen, the Danish driver, who has been absolutely imperious throughout this race. We haven't seen much of him, but he has been able to build out a huge lead over his class rivals. As into the pit lane comes Stuart Mosley, who took over from Mark Smithson, and it's a pit lane speeding penalty that they've been brought in for. So a real shame there for Smithson and Mosley, and that really puts them well out of contention as Dean Stoneman continues his charge up through the pack. He's competing for the podium places in the SR3 class. Also in for pit lane speeding, we have got the James Littlejohn car. Stop go penalty for James, and back out into the action as Manhal Alos in the lead of the race. And really this is looking very, very good for Manhal to make it his second victory of the season and 2 on the bounce, having won the second race at Snetterton back in March. But Alos seems to be slowing just a little bit out of luck here. Now, is that just a missed gear or the start of something a little bit more ominous? Well, no concerns for Tom Stubber-Olsen. He remains in the lead of the SR3s as the fights further down the order continue aplenty. This is really why competitors love Radical Racing. Mike Cantillon coming under considerable pressure there from Jamie Constable. Pair of them having a good tussle. Right, we pick up Alos further around the lap. Now, how is he looking in terms of pace? Again, he's just slow to pick up the pace, isn't he, coming out of club? And the car not really accelerating at all past the Grand Prix pits. Now it's building up ahead of steam, but he's about to be passed from behind, and that's Greg Hart going through, and that I think is the change for lead. It is, and Alos is now really slowing to have Igor Urian looks inside as well. Yes, it is Greg Hart, so Greg Hart takes lead the race. We're in the very closing stages here, and Urian moves through into second position, or does he? Well, Alos now fights back, so again the pace comes back to Manhal Alos. This is a very strange and intermittent problem again. The car fails to pick up out of a slow corner, so he slips down as Alex Mortimer and Tony and James Littlejohn rather continue their excellent fight over the 5th and 6th place. Littlejohn really trying to pressurise Mortimer. Throughout the pack, battles continue. Kamal Jouet car just gaining the place there as Greg Hart turns into Brooklands for the final time. This has been, in the end, a victory that I think was somewhat unexpected for Greg Hart, but he's put in a very, very fine drive nonetheless. And as he accelerates out of Luffield for the final time on towards Woodcote, the checker flag is ready and waiting. The opening Radical European Masters win of the year goes to Greg Hart, with Terence Woodward and Ross Kaiser claiming second position and Igor Urian into third place. So here is the final classification with the win for Hart from Woodward and Kaiser, and then Urian. Zach Chapman holding on for fourth, with Chris Humm and Alex Morter just resisting the charge of Tony Wells and James Littlejohn for sixth position. Manhal Alos finally classified down in 10th place. Well, excellent and very, very dramatic race, and a very well-deserved round of applause onto the top step of the podium for our race winner, Greg Hart.
So Greg, huge congratulations, amazing race for you. Talk us through it.
Well, it was a bit of a surprise to me, really. I've been gifted a slightly shorter pit stop this year, which gave me a little bit of an advantage. But I noticed the second place finisher or third place finisher, Igor, was on my tail quite early on, but I managed to keep ahead of him, so I was quite pleased with that in itself. And no, it's a great result, and I'm very pleased. And I'd like to particularly thank Luke, who's my mechanic in the team, and Simon this weekend. Done a great job for me. Thank you.
Guys, fantastic race, huge congratulations. Can you talk us through your part, please, Terence?
It was pretty eventful.
It was.
I started in 7th, which was pretty bad, and then I just got rear-ended into the turn 1, and I think I was like 10th or 11th, and I was like, oh, here we go. It's not going well. And then just managed to claw my way back up, got a run on a couple of people, saw a couple of people that I really wanted to overtake and managed to get past them. And then someone said we're in 4th or something like that, 3rd or 4th. I thought, all right, we're in with a shout, maybe 4th or 5th. So handed over to Ross, but he's got a really bad leg, and I didn't know whether he'd be able to pedal the car. Yeah. He did more than that, didn't he?
Amazing, Ross. And you're injured as well. What's wrong?
I've just got a bit of a knee injury, so it's been giving me a bit of try to have some fluid drained off it. But other than that, it's all good. The painkillers have been working. So it was it's similar to Terence, a really eventful stint. Just as we pitted a lap earlier than Stuart Mosley's car. So as we exited the pits, we were right together. I was just behind Stuart. and there was a bit of a three car dice on that lap. I managed to come out on top, and then I had Stuart behind me, but then I think they had to stop and go, so it was just a matter of getting my head down and chasing after the rest of the pack, which we didn't do too bad second. So
Igor, congratulations on third place. Can you talk me through your race?
Thank you. It's our first long season in Europe, and we come from other championships. I have 17, and it's a little bit different for me, and I want to learn more, because there I think it's enough level, and I try to do the best.
Well, as you saw in race 1, absolutely anything can happen here today at Silverstone, and we'll see you after this break for race 2.